Hey folks, welcome back. It's good to see you again. And it's really cold in Charleston right now. So, that's why I'm dressed up like the kid from A Christmas Story right now, because it's really cold. I can't feel my toes. I can't feel my nose. My nose might actually be running and I wouldn't know it. So if there is any sort of glistening snot on my nose, I apologize in advance for that. But that is not why we are here. We're not here to talk about my nose, or snot for that matter. What we're here to talk about today is strong men and weak men. And I think we need to know the difference. And, for a lot of people, there seems to be sort of a convoluted understanding of what a strong man is. Real strength isn't measured by the ubiquity of your likeness, on your Instagram profile. It's not measured by your popularity. It's not measured by the number of people you fooled today or the fact that you got away with it. It's not measured by your ability to steal a book rather than earn one honestly. I also thought it would be helpful to sort of apply this distinction to some of the weak men who are currently making a mess of our country. In the U.S., we're currently experiencing a crisis brought on by weak men, right? Weak men are the men we think of when we describe toxic masculinity and when we refer to the patriarchy, right? Weak men are typically narcissistic and egotistical to conceal their inner sense of inadequacy. Weak men are easily compromised and controlled, which can have catastrophic outcomes for the people who look up to them to be strong. When men like Anthony Fauci play at being protectors, when these sort of phonies pretend to have strength, it's dangerous, right? Because this guy derives his false power from the suffering of others, from telling lies and gaslighting people who question his authority. The truth is, Fauci's the opposite of a protector. He's a killer. And he has contempt for real strength and courage, and I believe is seeking to eradicate it from the face of the earth, right? So in contrast, strong men, they can't be compromised. They can't be controlled. We are here to actually protect, and we take our responsibility as a man very seriously because we know we're being looked to for leadership and strength, right? And if we don't possess strength and leadership, we cannot lead and be strong when the time comes. And we can't pretend to be those things either, right? Because then we're just, liars and cheaters and, narcissistic sort of evil gnomes, who want to kill everyone, so to prove that they're powerful. So a strong man has a strength, and he knows his strength because he worked hard to cultivate the strength. And through his strength, he understands that he has a pure form of power. A strong man rejects the notion of being a victim because he understands that by allowing himself to be a victim, he's giving away the power that he worked so hard to acquire. A strong man is intelligent, but he's smart enough to learn from those who are smarter than he is. A strong man is cunning and faithful because he's learned that he himself can be counted on and that he can count on himself to come through for himself no matter what the obstacle is. So he has proven to himself that he can be counted on, and so he therefore has faith in himself, right? In contrast, a victim man or a weak man is toxic and blames others for the effort he didn't put into himself, for the effort that he didn't invest in himself, and for the cunning he doesn't possess, and for the intelligence that he doesn't possess. And, a weak man could at times possess physical strength. A weak man would use this strength to conceal his lack of intelligence and cunning. A strong man knows when to speak and when to be silent, in deference to the sovereignty of others. In contrast, A weak man bloviates and dominates the conversation to convince you that he's wise and strong and cunning, because he doesn't know how to exist as these things or embody these characteristics. So through his words, he imagines out loud what it's like to be strong. He's not aware that the more he tries to convince people of his strength, the more obvious it is that he's weak. A strong man protects when it's necessary, but has learned not to interfere unless it's necessary to facilitate justice, fairness, and the safety of others. A weak man uses control to dictate outcomes in the lives of others because he fears outcomes that may not fit his idea of how he wants the outcomes to be. He fears discomfort and inconvenience more than anything because these principles interrupt the plans of his narcissistic ego. A strong man can be vulnerable and is available to play and can apologize for his mistakes, because a strong man is in service to others, and through the admission of his shortcomings, he teaches others it's okay not to be perfect. A weak man rejects vulnerability in himself and others. He's overly concerned with his ego-projected identity, and he can't allow himself to be vulnerable because he's afraid that his vulnerability will be perceived as weakness. And what's ironic is that vulnerability is actually a true projection of strength, and over-identification with the ego is a true projection of weakness. A strong man reveres and looks up to and salutes the people who inspire him and teach him that more is possible and that he can grow beyond his own limited perception. A weak man hates the people who are what he is not and who can do what he cannot. He has contempt for his betters and seeks to tear them down. A strong man can endure and will carry those who have fallen down along the way. On the other hand, a weak man leaves the wounded behind and is quick to put his well-being ahead of others because in his stunted victim mind, his well-being can only come at the expense of others. And for those who are sort of wondering, where all the real men have gone, we are here. We're just not very outspoken about it, which is part of the deal. We are silent, and we are watchers. And guys, fellas, it's time to not be afraid to be vulnerable, right? It's time to tell the truth. It's time to come clean, right? It's time to do the work, right? If there's trauma that you need to reverse, if there are aspects of yourself that you are not proud of or you are less than proud of, it's time to do something about it, right? And it's also time to start having a more critical eye for the people we put our faith in, for the people we place our trust in. If the people you put your faith in are alienating, entire sections of the population, if people you put your faith in are telling you how to live your life, maybe they're not the kind of people you should be putting your faith in. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.